What if the reason you still feel overwhelmed, you feel stuck, or even disconnected is not because you need more discipline or more strategy or even more healing, but because your mind, body, and spirit are not truly aligned? What if I told you that you could begin to shift that in under 10 minutes per day? Today, what we're going to be doing is I will walk you through a simple 3-step practice that you can use daily in order to regulate your nervous system and bring your whole self back into alignment, mind, body, and spirit. So let's begin. Why the nervous system alignment is not just about the body. Why is that? So oftentimes when we see, say, posts on social media or on the internet, even on YouTube, people are talking about nervous system regulation from a physical body perspective, right? So that is generally where the conversations go. And I've been guilty of that in the past as well in offering that. But your nervous system is constantly responding to your environment, right? And so your environment is not just outside of your physical being. Your environment also includes your thoughts, part of your mind, your sensations and patterns, holding patterns in your body, and your inner knowing and meaning making, which is your part of your spiritual expression. And so this is what I call your alignment triangle. It includes the mind, body, and spirit. Mind is that interpretation, thought and interpretation. Body, regulation of the nervous system. And spirit, direction, purpose, meaning making. So when one of these three is off, the others actually compensate, right? They try to step up, so to speak. And so that is why you can think positively and still feel anxious, right? You can meditate, yet still feel disconnected in your life. You can know your purpose, but still feel stuck in moving forward. So alignment is not about fixing, right? Fixing a part of this triangle. It is about bringing all three sides of the triangle into conversation with one another. And so our first practice in this alignment triangle is to start with the mind, thought, awareness, reset. Your nervous system is constantly scanning, as I said, for your safety. That is how your nervous system is designed. And your thoughts are part of the environmental safety. So if your nervous system is always looking for a threat and trying to always keep you safe, then you have to really consider what thoughts you are entertaining on a daily basis that maybe has gone unnoticed by you. It could be thoughts of catastrophe that's going to happen. It could be thoughts of conflict, right? Like I've caught myself in the past having whole arguments in my mind with someone preemptively. Like I was not in an argument with this person, but my mind was like, if this person says this, then I'm going to say this, or I'm going to do this, right? Conflict thinking. The other is self-critical thinking, right? Beating yourself up, basically. Future-focused thinking that is fear-based. right? This is not about planning for the future, manifestation, but this is about thinking about the future from a fear-based perspective. So all of those things signal to the nervous system that you are not safe. And your body will respond as if you are in danger at this moment. And so that kicks in the stress response. So this practice is called name, normalize, and redirect. So you want to, in this practice, number one, name the thought that you're having by asking yourself a simple question. What am I telling myself right now? What am I telling myself right now? And then two, normalize it. Of course, I'd be feeling or thinking this way with what I am navigating in my life right now, right? So you're not here to beat yourself up in this practice. And then on the third count, you want to redirect that thought. What is a more grounded and supportive truth that I can step into? So those are the questions you want to be able to ask yourself. And I'll give you an example. If you're working on a project at work or in your business, and you find yourself a little behind in the output, in the deadline, you can say, I'm behind, and start to beat yourself up or berate yourself. But you can also shift that, where I'm behind becomes I am moving at the pace that I can integrate. So this is not toxic positivity. It's really about conscious interpretation, right? Consciously interpreting what is going on for you in the moment without weaving a story about it that's not even true. The next practice is for the body, a somatic regulation reset. And in this, we're talking about how the body holds patterns that your mind has already outgrown. And this really shows up in muscle memory almost, or maybe even in fact, right? When we've gone through things in our lives, we set a story in our minds about it, and our bodies respond to that situation and then takes it's almost like a picture that the body takes of the inner state in this situation so that it remembers. And that inner state becomes part of our muscle patterning, how we hold the body, right? How we get tense on certain sounds, or maybe certain smells, or in certain things that we see or even sense. Our bodies will respond oftentimes before we're even consciously aware, right? But say you've been in therapy, you've done years maybe of therapy, and in your mind, you have let go of those old traumas or old beliefs. But your body, as the book rightfully titled The Body Keeps the Score, your body still holds the memory in your nervous system throughout the vagus nerve and the rest of your system. And so you want to be aware and start to shift those things, right? So it could be breath constriction, body constriction, tight chest and shoulders, a subtle freeze or almost startle reaction, or a sense of urgency when there really is no urgency. These are basically what we call nervous system imprints, and they are not current threats. And so the practice for this is a simple grounding 4-6 ratio breath. You inhale to the count of 4, exhale to the count of 6. And you do this as a practice on a daily basis to help to retrain your nervous system for safety. It helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, relax, and digest part of your system, so that you're not constantly in fight, flight, or freeze. So with the 4-6 grounding breath, you want to come to a comfortable seated position and allow your hands to just simply be at rest on your lap. Relax your shoulders, and if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And then take a deep inhale through the nose to the count of 4. So it's inhale, 2, 3, 4, and then a long, slow exhale out through the nose. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always recommend people do at least 3 rounds, preferably 5 to 6 rounds of this breath practice in the mornings and in the evening. So in the morning upon waking and in the evening before sleep. And if you could get it in any other time of the day, then that would be fantastic. But that just helps to not only calm your nervous system, but to retrain the nervous system. Okay? And so with this breath, you want to remind yourself that right now, in this moment, I am safe. You can say it out loud or say it inwardly. Right now, in this moment, I am safe. Know that regulation is not forcing calm, right? You can't force calm. It is allowing the body to complete a stress cycle. Part of that stress response that we all have that helps to keep us safe, we have an actual cycle that needs to be completed. And if we haven't completed the stress cycle, that's what gets stuck in the body. And so movement helps to release some of those conscious movement, somatic movement, as well as breath practices. They help to dislodge what needs to be let go of. And so for the next practice I want to offer is literally for spirit. It's the inner alignment check-in in some ways, we would call it. Your nervous system becomes dysregulated when you are out of alignment with your truth, with your inner truth and your inner knowing of who you really are. When you're overriding your inner knowing, for instance, saying yes when you mean no. When you're living from obligation instead of alignment. All of these things throw that side of the triangle off. It creates a subtle but chronic internal tension in the spiritual energy. And the practice for this is pause, ask, and listen. So you take a moment and you pause when you notice something's off, right? And you've done the mental practice, a physical practice, and you come to this moment. And you can then ask yourself, what feels true for me right now? And you pause and you allow not your mind to answer, but allow your inner spirit to answer. When we pause and turn our attention inward, we get to listen to our own inner voice, our own inner truth, our own inner knowing. Some call it also intuition. And intuition has mistakenly been trained out of so many of us starting in our childhood. But intuition is that still small voice. And this is the opportunity to pause and listen for it. Ask, what feels true for me right now? Right? Am I forcing something that doesn't really feel aligned for me? What is one small step I can make towards my truth today? What's one small step I can take towards my truth today? So these are some of the questions you can ask. And you just allow the answer to bubble up from the inside to the surface. Listening inwardly is a practice that we all should engage in on a daily basis. That allows us to step back into our inner authority and stop giving away our authority to outside sources. All right? We have an inner voice that is an inner compass, as it were, to guide us, but we don't always listen. So in listening for the inner voice, we will get the answer. It's in that quiet, grounded state that we hear the inner knowing that we all have. So alignment creates safety. Alignment creates safety. Because your system is no longer in conflict with itself, it will create safety. When you can align all three sides of the triangle. So I want to leave you with a bit of a reflection here, a moment where you can pause and ask yourself which part of the alignment triangle, mind, body, or spirit, feels most supported within you right now. And which part of the triangle is asking for your attention? Just allow yourself to sit with that for a moment. And just make note as to what you notice. You do not need to have like an hour-long routine, right? We all have busy lives. And so you don't need to make this an hours-long routine. It can literally be done in 10 minutes, all three parts. So it's just having a moment of awareness of what your thoughts are in moving through your mind, a moment of noticing how your body is regulated in the moment, and then a moment of clarity and truth in your spirit. This is how you build emotional stability, inner clarity, sustainable expansion in your life in just a few minutes a day. So, do you have 10 minutes that you can give to yourself every day? I hope so. I hope that this resonated with you and that you feel an inner desire to make a shift. I invite you also, if you want to go deeper into this work, that there are spaces where you can do so. We have a group called the Expansion Room Community where we talk about these kinds of things in the online community. And in my Elevate program is also where we bring these kinds of practices into full embodiment so that it doesn't become just a mental exercise or an emotional exercise. It becomes a full-on embodied practice in our daily lives that affect how we move about the world, how we take action in the world. And so you can find those links in the show notes at the bottom of the video, or if you're listening on an actual podcast, you can find them in the show note on whatever platform that you're listening. And before you go, I would encourage you to start with maybe choosing one of these sides of these triangles of this triangle based on what you notice when you ask yourself the question of which side of this triangle needs my attention. Start there with one of these practices. And then after 7 days or so of integrating that practice into your daily life, invite in the other two practices to round out your 10-minute practice per day. All right? And if you can do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening, all the better. I have enjoyed talking about this because this is one of the things I think we often miss in our lives when we're trying to quote unquote fix things. But I want you to know that alignment is not built through intensity or trying to fix parts of yourself. It is really built with consistency. It is built with taking the time to turn inward and listen to your inner voice. I offer you that. So take care. I look forward to seeing you back here in the expansion room.